The latest news, updates, and more from the world of health and medicine. This is Medical Minutes, brought to you by Community Health Network.
Today's morning checkup focuses on focus and other areas of concern when it comes to ADHD. It is not just a childhood issue. Recent CDC reports suggest more than 15 million people in America have gotten a diagnosis of adult attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Some now say it's overdiagnosed, in fact. That number may be one that Dr. Janelle Gordon, our Wish to Be medical expert, takes issue with. We're in a very evolving state as to what's real and what we're still learning about ADHD diagnosis.
And quickly evolving. So the diagnosis rates were already going up prior to the pandemic, but then we saw these rates skyrocket. And a lot of that information we were getting from self-reported diagnoses from individuals, especially with the telehealth company boom that we saw during the pandemic, and that's been allowed to continue as people are trying to find it difficult to get into the correct specialist.
You're concerned then that some may self-diagnosis by itself, you can't prescribe yourself something, but if you don't get a good diagnosis from a physician, then there are all sorts of questions that come with that.
Exactly, and not just the physician. So when I see a patient typically who presents with concerns of inattentiveness, usually that hyperactivity changes in how it presents in adulthood into more restlessness, not being able to focus during conversations, complete tasks on time. And so I'll have that patient be seen by a psychologist so that they can be properly tested. And that testing involves getting questions about your upbringing, your home life, your work, your stressors, your mood, and your ability to complete tasks on time. If you're able to focus in conversations, how your relationships are going. And so if a person is not being properly evaluated with those tests, they may be misdiagnosed. Not saying that they don't have something that's actually going on, but is it adult ADHD? Is it anxiety, depression? Are some of these conditions coexisting in an individual?
Overlapping, in other words,
Yes.
and to peel all that back, you want professional guidance through all of that.
Exactly.
So if you get what feels like a solid diagnosis, what's the next step for somebody with adult ADHD?
Sure, so it is still recommended, just like in childhood, that we have adults take a stimulant medication, and there are various ones. But again, during the pandemic, with the increase in the telehealth companies being able to prescribe and the Drug Enforcement Agency, or DEA, laxing their policies, we saw prescriptions go through the roof. So what the data is showing us is that for women 15 to 44 years old and men 25 to 44 years old, prescriptions went up 10% according to pharmacy data. And so a lot of individuals, even my own patients, were finding it difficult to get the prescription that I prescribe from their pharmacy. We may have had to switch pharmacies from month to month, or even unfortunately switch them to an alternative medication that may work, but their body got used to it, and then they may present with concerns of side effects from that medication that they weren't experiencing on the initial medication that I prescribed.
So let's say, put up the hypothetical here. You got somebody in the last 5 years has been diagnosed in some form or fashion with adult ADHD. If they have not at any point gotten an in-person consultation with a trusted physician, whether that's their family doctor or if they've already got a mental health expert in their sort of network, you'd like them to have that face-to-face.
I'd like them to have the face-to-face, but I do understand in more remote areas, especially in our rural counties across the nation, that can be difficult. But I do want to be sure that they are properly evaluated with testing according to psychologists. Now, there is no clinical standard yet, and hopefully we'll get more of that coming out this year. But when in doubt, if you feel like you've been on these medications and you're not getting much better, at that time it probably is a good idea to have a face-to-face.
Yeah, there's not one we're likely to have a blood test for. It's
no blood test,
just
a series of questions, and that also is quite costly, and oftentimes that's why you'll see people try to circumvent that. And I'm not just speaking about patients, I mean providers as well.
It's a fascinating topic. If numbers are going up, why? And how do you not get lost in all of that with the wrong diagnosis or something like that?
Is it actually a change in prevalence? Are we overdiagnosing? And are we missing some individuals who aren't able to see the proper specialist?
Morning checkup from Dr. Janelle Gordon. Thanks for the things to think about this morning.
Thank you, Scott.
This is Medical Minutes, brought to you by Community Health Network.
Learn more and get more with Wish TV.
Online at wishtv.com, and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now.
Now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.